You are listening in to KDVS 90.3 Davis, and today in the studio we have Jerod Rivera from Oakland. Take it away, Jerod. You're listening to KDVS Davis 90.3 FM, and today, live in Studio A, we have.
Jerod Rivera.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the session?
Had its ups and downs, but I think I did okay.
Yeah, I think we all really loved it in the studio. Like, everyone back there and all the volunteers were, like, super into it, so it was
Cool.
super sick.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get with analog gear. So.
Right on. I mean,
So-
that's the beauty of analog
Yeah,
gear, isn't it?
Sometimes
So-
it backfires, but I think it went okay.
Right.
Yeah.
How was it coming down to KDVS? What did you think of the studio, the station in general?
Amazing. Got to see some cool Throb and Gristle records.
Yeah, shout out to your shirt, man.
White
That is a
label.
really good
White
shirt.
label, Throb and Gristle Records. Yeah, super cool studio. So many great records everywhere, and just a lot of good energy and super dope flyers in the back.
Right on.
Yeah.
How was the drive down from Oakland?
Wasn't easy. It's always pretty tough coming down this direction on a Saturday, but yeah, it was okay. Yeah,
Right.
just space out for a little bit.
How do you feel like being a musician in Oakland? How does the scene kind of like help you out or not help you out?
I think I think there's a lot of everyone's really talented in the Bay Area. There's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of people pushing themselves with new ideas and really trying to push the envelope. So I think it kind of inherently pushes you to
Right.
want to like push yourself too. So I really like that energy about it, that
Mhm.
it makes you want to like, keep your game up too.
Right.
And then usually people are really supportive about those ideas too, and just anything in general. So I think it's a really positive thing for sure.
And you self-described yourself as like doing sometimes experimental techno or like ambient stuff as we heard today.
Yeah.
Where in the scene do you usually get grouped into? Is it the more with the electronic artists, or are you like playing with rock bands? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of I haven't quite figured that out yet. But I think it's like definitely in the electronic world. A lot of my work, I think I'm kind of interested in doing ambient or experimental, or as you said, kind of like techno DJ culture. So I think I'm really interested in both of those areas. But it's always kind of trying different things within those realms,
Right.
So yeah, and it's just kind of keep things fresh for myself too,
Right.
So yeah.
Are you from Oakland? Did you grow up there?
No, actually, I grew up in LA.
Grew up in LA,
Well,
okay.
Orange County actually,
Right.
so Southern California. And I was saying before we were talking outside, I played in a band with my brother years ago that was just like sample based, and we it was just like really crazy experimental weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
But we played it in Davis like back in 2009 or 10 or something.
Wow.
So that was the last time I had been here.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been a little while, but I had never been to this station specifically. So
Cool.
yeah.
So when you were growing up in LA, what kind of music were you surrounded by? Was it the electronic stuff? Because I feel like it's slightly unpopular there. isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, they all listen to surf rock in LA. So.
yeah. I think it's like I think a lot of the interest in electronic actually comes from mostly hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Just sonically hearing a lot of early 90s hip hop
Mm-hmm.
is really kind of what triggered my brain, is something I was really interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Southern California, like I grew up listening to like punk rock, and like I was a big skater and like still am, but like just a lot of like Black Flag and like all that stuff
Right
that was
on.
going on in Southern California. So it's kind of a mesh of those two things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like compositionally, when I'm making tracks, for instance, it kind of has that kind of ethos behind it.
Mhm.
So but yeah, I think it really kind of started from early electronic music,
Right.
hip hop music. So
Right.
that's where it kind of came from, I think.
And when did you decide to pick up like actually buying your own gear, like the Moog synthesizer and all, et cetera, et cetera?
I think maybe 10 or 12 years ago, as I said, me and my brother were just working with like samplers,
Right.
and they were really fun. But then you start to feel like you want to create something with a little more emotion. So something as a synthesizer, or like something that's like more acoustic or something. So
Mhm.
it started kind of doing that. But I really didn't start like playing my own solo stuff till maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, when I first moved up here. And I work in design, and while I really like my job, I kind of still had that urge to like keep making music. Yeah. So I think it's a lot of people go through that. You get into the world and you realize that there's still this thing that's calling for you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I've been doing kind of the solo work for about 3 or 4 years now.
And the material that we heard today, where is that off an album or anything?
No, it was kind of just a set that I had put together. Wasn't as where I wanted it to go specifically, but you know, it was definitely the intent was there, I think. So, you know, yeah, and working with modular gear, you're kind of always just like working with ideas, and then they just kind of tend to inform themselves as you're working.
Right.
You know, so and again, the analog stuff, you kind of never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works for you, and sometimes it doesn't. And
Right.
You just kind of work with it, and I always kind of think of like modular and analog gear as this like kind of boat that's like sinking. You might sink or you might not sink, depending on the day or whatever.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right. How did you hear about KDVS and finding out that we do live in Studio A? Or how'd you find out about playing here?
You know, I think now that I think about it, you had mentioned Keen. And
Yes.
yeah, and
Shout out Keen, by the way.
yeah,
They played on KDVS, I think in spring. They played on my show, The Sawyer Jar.
right.
Shout out Yari and Josh as well.
Yes. I think I had heard that. I think I followed them on Instagram, and heard that way. But I had
Right.
always heard of you guys for
Mhm.
many, many years.
Right.
Just kind of knew. Just being involved in underground music, you kind of just knew, especially in California.
Right.
You know, KDVS, KXLU.
Right.
You
The
know,
works.
all the good ones. You know,
Mhm.
so. But specifically, like I thought about it more recently when I heard Keen had done
Mhm.
it. I was like, oh, I should get in contact with those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there any I guess intent for you to turn what we heard today into like an album or some sort of a project based thing?
Yeah, I'm kind of working on a project that I've been working on a couple years right now. It's a different thing, more like, you know, techno house, you know, experimental kind of thing. Yes. So
There
I'll
you go.
definitely let you
Yeah.
hear it for sure. But I'm always kind of like exploring like
Yeah.
the ambient stuff, because I think, you know, sometimes you get a little bored of the floor to floor thing, and you
Okay.
want to like get out
For
and
sure,
like
for
try
sure.
it. You just be a little free,
Right.
you know. So yeah. But I do have intentions to make more ambient
Yeah.
work, and like just really kind of freeform kind of, you know, I
Right.
really like today that like I just kind of, it was somewhat of an improv, and I like
Mhm.
working with that idea that it
Right.
feels like it's kind of this thing that you're kind of just feeling the moment with. So, but yeah, I'm hoping to do some more stuff like that.
What kind of artists are you listening to currently, or are inspired by, perhaps?
Oh man, so many. I'm actually working on a mix for a friend of mine in New York, and some of the artists. Let's see. There's a Spanish artist, Jazz. I don't know if you've heard of her.
No.
JSSS. She does this really weird. Not weird. That's not the right word, but it's like experimental kind of. I don't know, techno offbeat thing.
Right.
I'm always into like the Detroit stuff, like Omar S. Yeah.
I saw him live in London in spring.
Okay.
One of the best shows I've seen live, and he's
Oh,
such a
sick.
cool and calm, collected dude. Like,
Yeah.
When you speak to him, like,
Oh,
you
cool. Me and my wife saw him in San Francisco.
was that the Parish? I think, or Underground SF?
Midway.
Midway.
Yeah,
Okay.
Midway.
Cool.
And he showed up wearing a blue Motown shirt. I was like, this is
Yes.
gonna be fucking ill.
Did you see when as soon as he walks off, he just puts on his Kangol and just walks away, like his bucket hat?
No, you know, I caught it. I was watching for like an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and even my wife and I hadn't eaten dinner.
Right,
So we're just
right,
like, we
right.
gotta bounce.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him walk off stage.
Right.
But yeah, his music specifically, I remember in college just like jamming out to his records
Yeah.
so much. Like I was like in design school, so I was doing a lot of like coding and stuff like
Right,
that. So I
right,
really
right.
wanted stuff that didn't have words in it.
Yeah.
And him and like Robert Hood.
Floor
and-
plan. Shout out floor
Floor
plan.
Plan.
Yeah, dude.
Like stuff like that, I was
Yeah.
really, really getting it into. It's always kind of that label in New York called Lies. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really into like a lot of stuff that they're doing. Yeah, and
That's cool though.
yeah,
So being in the Bay Area, do you find yourself going to a lot of like the club scene there?
I try to as much as I can.
Right. Does work get in the way?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because working full time and then,
Right.
and they always go till 4 or 5 in the morning. So
Yeah.
so I always try to get out when I can. But the last one I went to recently was Omar S, and it was a
Right.
day show. So I
Mhm.
was like,
Perfect. Yeah. Works
sun
out
was
for you.
out, and I was just it was perfect. So
Right.
but yeah, like in terms of like more experimental stuff, it's always kind of evolving. Big huge like Boards of Canada fan, Throbbing Gristle, like
Right.
just stuff like that. And but I love all kinds of other stuff too, like big Beach Boys fan too. So I as much as I love electronic music,
Mhm.
I love more acoustical, like Nico or something,
Right.
So just love music,
Cool.
So. Yeah.
Have you been on tour yet or plan to play any more shows?
My brother and I used to tour all the time. But
Was this part of that same sampling band that you
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about? Okay.
Playing is becoming more and more like something I want to do now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing tomorrow night at the Musiclandria, I think it's called. It's basically like this instrument library initiative tomorrow night in Sacramento. So I might have to do a little tweaking for tomorrow night. But yeah, and yeah, I played a couple shows earlier this year. I was DJing at the Book Fair in San Francisco, so that was really cool. So just trying to
Here
keep
and
busy.
there.
Yeah. So
how's the response been like to the?
I think my style tends to be kind of, I don't know, a little more out there and a little more aggressive at times. So
Okay.
I think it's like it's always good to try and find people who are like want to do that work too. It's not always readily available.
Yeah.
But I think people are really like responsive to like, so, there's people out there like trying to do something a little different, and I think it's kind of paid off. It's always kind of chipping away at it, but so.
Maybe one day we'll see you at a KDVS house party.
Yes,
Davis.
I would love to.
Make some experimental techno for all the dream pop kids out there.
Yes, yeah, let's do it.
I don't know. I always get slack for being the one guy who doesn't like dream pop. So
what is dream pop necessarily?
I don't know. Just people listen to a lot of the same type of bands, or they all sound like they're trying to beat the Cocteau Twins.
Okay.
And I'm just like, you're not the Cocteau Twins. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, it's been a pleasure having you in the
Thank you
studio.
so
Is there
much.
any parting words that you want to say to the listeners out there?
Yeah, thanks for listening. I always appreciate any kind of audience at all.
Is there any place people can follow you on social media or like
yeah,
Spotify or maybe something like that?
Yeah, Instagram is J_S Rivera. SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/JR_a rank LTD.
Well, we'll have that in the description.
Yeah.
For the YouTube
I think that's
for
the
sure.
right. How it's always kind of
Right.
But yeah, super fun. Again, always working with modular and analog stuff. You never know. So if the set was a little weird sometimes, bear with me. So
I think we loved it in the studio.
great.
So it sounded good to us. That's
okay,
what matters.
you.
You know.
I'm always critical, as being
Obviously,
the performer.
right.
So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been KDVS 90.3 Davis. Thank you again.